What is up, nerds? I have an update on the state of the Andrew Yang mayoral race, the Yang for New York race. We're going to look at polling, betting odds, news coverage, social, search activity. We're going to get it all. But first,
There's no place to hide now that he's arrived. I'm saying he ain't playing now with this campaign. Bang, dang, it's and Drew, come roll with the Yang Gang. Drew Yang Gang, that's who I hooked up with. Drew Yang Gang, that's who I hooked up with. Drew Yang Gang, that's who I hooked up. Yo, there's no place to hide now that he's arrived. I'm saying he ain't playing now with this campaign. Bang, dang, it's and.
hello, nerds. Nerds for Humanity. We're going to go look into how our man Andrew MF Yang is doing in this New York mayoral race. Is he making it happen? Is he still in the lead? Who's nipping at his heels? We're going to get into all of that. I'm going to try and make this quick because I have another live stream coming up in about 40 minutes with the youngest African American mayor in the country, who is running against Congressman Steny Hoyer in Maryland. So we're going to hear from, I think his name is Colin Bird, I think. So we're going to talk to Colin shortly. But first, let's take a quick look at what's going on with the Yang. First, I think we're going to check out just news coverage. And then we'll look at the polling, because I think I know everybody's really into the polling. And then we will look at some social and maybe look a little bit at gambling odds. And then we're probably going to run out of time. So with that, let's just start with some of the news coverage. What are the media saying about our man Andrew? Let's see if I can get this going. All right, here we go. This is the recent coverage of Andrew. 11 days ago, New York Daily News is saying that he holds a commanding lead in the New York mayor's race. We also have Yang hires woman who once disparaged him. Well, that's a little bit of a turnaround story. I know he was getting a little bit of flack for his presidential campaign staffing. So let's take a look at that one and see what the deal is. The campaign co-manager, Sasha Ahuja, criticized the candidate after he was accused of gender discrimination, writing, "Wish I could say it was unbelievable." Okay, in 2019, a story about gender discrimination centering around president candidate was making rounds. Candidate was Yang. Watkins was former employee at test prep company he ran, accused her of firing her after she got married. Allegedly because he thought she would not work as hard. "Wish I could say it was unbelievable," Ms. Ahuja wrote on Twitter, sharing an article in HuffPo about Watkins' allegations, which Yang has long denied. Last month, Yang named Ahuja as the co-manager of his campaign for an NYC mayor, selecting an operative who may be able to help him connect with progressives skeptical of Yang's campaign. A review of her activity on Twitter suggests that on multiple issues, her instincts have been at odds with the candidate she is now assisting. So it's an interesting kind of turn of events. I suppose if you wanted to be positive, you would say, wow, this is an example of Yang kind of working with people who may have been critical of him in the past. And now we've got this sort of team of adversaries. We'll see. But kudos to him for not just kind of like shutting the door on someone who had been critical of him in the past. Yeah, I'd be curious in the comments. Let me know what you think. Like, is this a good thing for Andrew, or what does it say about the Ahuja? Because if she was so concerned about him, maybe her view is like, hey, I'm going to reform the Yang campaign from the inside. Who knows? 3 days ago, New York Post says Yang says he doesn't support prioritizing secular over faith-based education. So let's open up that guy. And as you can see here, I think it's talking about the Jewish schools, probably. Let's see. Gracie Mansion hopeful Andrew Yang mounted an extraordinary defense of the Big Apple's embattled yeshiva schools, telling a Jewish mayoral forum that the city has little business prescribing secular curriculum to the religious institutions. As mayor, how would you ensure that every child receives what the New York State Constitution calls a sound basic education on secular topics, including not just public schools, but including yeshivas and other religious schools? And then he says, when I look at the yeshiva question, Randy, the first thing I want to see what were the outcomes, what is the data? I do not think we should be prescribing a curriculum unless that curriculum can be demonstrated to have improved impact on people's career trajectories. All right, so, I keep it real on this channel. I happen to believe that all schools should have some basic standards around curricula and what's included. I think Yang is kind of on a tightrope here. Like, he can't be seen attacking a crucial voting bloc. And maybe when he looks at the data, to his credit, he's saying, hey, these yeshiva schools, like, the kids do fine. And, we don't need to over-prescribe the curriculum. I could see that argument. So, at any rate, that is him kind of balancing a tough topic there. I mean, obviously, when you're running for mayor, you've got to talk about issues that are important to the Jewish voter, the African-American voter, the white progressive voter, the black progressive voter. He's got to hopefully activate some Asian voters. It's a bit of a melting pot, that New York City. So in some ways, I feel like, well, if anybody can pull a diverse group together, it is Andrew M.F. Yang. Lukey Monster says hello. Yes, hello, Lukey Monster. Oh, I keep jumping around. All right. Then Salon writes an article about how Yang has failed to show his authentic New Yorkness in a revealing tweet praising Shake Shack. I'm not even going to click on that because that's some just like, it's worse than gotcha journalism. It's like, I don't have anything to write about. So maybe the fact that Yang took a picture of his Shake Shack lunch saying his kids liked it, and he was kind of asking like, hey, is this a New Yorker meal? Now it's a story in Salon. New York Daily News, New York Mayor candidate Andrew Yang takes heat for interview with Islamophobe Sam Harris. Ooh, so I think Sam Harris is definitely probably conservative. I'm not super familiar with him, but Yang does have a kind of a clear record of talking to people from all kinds of backgrounds. So there you go. Yes. Jimmy Stoneful says, oh, wait a minute. He likes Shake Shack. I can't vote for him now. Funny. All right. Ooh, this is important. Money. Yang hits donation threshold to get matching funds. All right. So basically, he is now qualifying for matching taxpayer funds. That was just on Feb 14th, so about a week ago. And he has raised more than $250K from donors living in New York City. And under the city's rules, candidates who hit that threshold with at least 1,000 contributors get small contributions matched at a rate of 8-1. The campaign expects to take in more than $2 million in public funds, according to a memo. In total, the campaign has raised $1 million from all donors. Some 11,000 people have donated. Yang will be the fourth candidate to hit the matching funds mark, following Wiley, Adams, and Stringer. So that's going to be a huge boost to the Yang campaign, getting that 8-1 match. So that's that. Let's see. Former gambling critic Andrew Yang places bet on New York City casinos. Ooh, so let's see. I'm guessing they're going to try and say, hey, he's not being consistent. Andrew Yang is all in on casinos. The mayoral candidate has proposed building more casinos in the city after trashing the gambling meccas in his book, War on Normal People. Yang wrote in his book, one thing that surprised me is how many of these places have a casino smack dab in the middle of their downtown. They are not encouraging places. Most people do not seem like they should be gambling. Yang changed his tune about gambling parlors as he seeks the mayoralty. Last month, he proposed building a casino on Governor's Island. That casino would generate so much money, it would be bananas. If the city could get that in place and harness some of that, that would be one of the engines of recovery. Yang also tweeted, we need big ideas. There are many downsides of casinos, but the upside is $700 million in recurring annually, largely from tourists now going to Connecticut and New Jersey. That's money for teachers, hospitals, and other services. We should be trying to grow revenue where possible. So this is another balancing act, right? Because I think a lot of us probably don't think casinos are the most positive things for a city to have in terms of building a local community. On the other hand, if you can raise a bunch of money and put that into the local community, maybe it's like taxing tobacco. So there you go. He's trying to, again, thread this needle. This is very hard. NYC politics is no walk in the park. Okay, so that's some of the news that has been coming up. Obviously, the big People's Bank idea is a $500 million basic income pilot that he's proposing in New York, and including services for the unbanked. So that's kind of a big deal. All right, let's take a quick breather and see if there's any comments I should highlight before we move on to the next thing, which is looking at polling data. All right. So Vaughn is saying, no, this is just classic example of someone being pragmatic. You got to get that money. Maybe that money isn't from selling flowers, but it could help support people. And people are going to gamble in Connecticut and New Jersey and Atlantic City and, oh, where the hell did I go in Connecticut? I can't remember the name, but it was a Native American casino that I used to go to in Connecticut when I lived in the Northeast. Soldier One is saying that this was misquoted from Andrew's book. And Chris Floyd has confirmed that Sam Harris is a conservative. Okay. And Mr. Business is like, let's secure that money. All right. So now let's move on to let's move on to the polling, shall we? How are we doing in the polls? Now, one thing I will tell you is that we don't get quite as much polling updates as we're used to in the presidential. Polls cost money, and even though New York mayoral race is a big deal, not quite as big as running for president. But let's take a little quick look at the polls that we do have access to. There's 2 from Slingshot, and one was on ended Jan 19, and one ended December 6. So the one, the kind of usefulness of looking at these side by side is they're conducted by the same organization over time. So about looks like 2 weeks apart. So what are we seeing here? Well, actually, November. So this first one was conducted mostly in first week of December, and this one is mid-Jan. So over a month apart, actually. But so what happened in a month in New York? Well, we see that Yang was leading the charge in the RCV number 1 as 23%. That's this guy right here. That's Yang, right? And the next person that had the highest was Stringer at 15 and Adams at 15. And now if we fast forward to, that's in first week of December. Now we fast forward to mid-January, and Yang has gone from 23% number 1 choice to 37%. Holy cow. Holy cow. Congratulations to Andrew. Mofo. That's a pretty big jump from 23 to 37. And the former sort of fellow frontrunners, Stringer, went from 15. He did move up to 18. Not quite as big of a jump as from 23 to 37. And then you've got Eric Adams going from 15. Ooh, Eric Adams going from 15 to 26. So it looks like Stringer is might almost be peaking, but old Eric Adams going from 15 to 26. Keep an eye on this guy. Glad that we went from 23 to 37. Now, in terms of number 2 choice, Yang had been 23% for number 2 choice. And then for number 2 choice, you've got, again, Stringer and Adams both around 15. And then in the latest poll for number 2 choice, Yang is now at 37. And you've got Adams at 26 and Stringer 19. So pretty stable between number 1 and number 2 choice. So TLDR, Yang is in the lead. For number 1 choice, he's got 37 to Adams 26. And number 2 choice, 37 to Adams 26. And then let's look at the opposite. Number 11 choice, which is I see what this is doing. Yeah. We don't need to go through all of the rankings, but basically it's encouraging. Basically, you've got old Yang, numero uno, 37%. Almost half of voters in New York are putting him as their number 1 choice. So hopefully Yang can hold on to it. Let's see if there's any comments about the polling before we move on to the next topic. Soldier says, I really hope Andrew wins. Me too. I mean, we've never been this close to victory on a Yang campaign. Now, granted, there's only 2 of them, but that's certainly encouraging. Oh, wait a minute. So Ethan is saying he's not a conservative. Sam Harris, he's one of the leading atheist intellectuals. Okay. I don't follow the Sam Harris, so I don't have a dog in that fight. But agree that Eric Adams is someone that we need to be careful about. Like, here's a scary scenario. Let's go back to the data here. You want a scary scenario? Here's a scary scenario. Whoopsie daisy. Share. Here we go. Let's say Let's go back to the data. Where are you, data? Is it this one? Yeah. Okay. You got Adams at 26. You have Yang at 37. Okay? What happens? What happens if A to the O to the C endorses Eric Adams? Now, I don't know if that's even likely. I don't know to what extent Eric Adams and AOC have like a good relationship. Certainly Adams, you know, he's been in the scene. He is borough president of Brooklyn. Yeah. He's been officer in the police department for 2 decades. He defeated he was defeated. He was serving in the New York State Senate. You know, first African American to hold the position of Brooklyn president. Brooklyn borough president. So it's something to keep an eye on. Like if Yang were 37% and Adams was like 15 or 18 like Stringer, then you could say, well, this 37% lead seems pretty formidable. But when the next guy is 26 and there's 32 undecided, and you could argue, wow, you know, like if someone's going to be pro Yang, they kind of know, like very few people I think are kind of like on the fence about Yang. You either love him or you don't. So, you know, Yang's in the lead, but 1 in 3 haven't decided. AOC hasn't endorsed. Harris and Biden haven't endorsed. Who knows what's going to happen? So now let's move on and talk about the search trends, betting odds, and Twitter action. Before we do that, I want to thank the people who support this channel. And so let's go to the channel members. So all of you guys who are members of this channel or who've clicked on that join link, and you can do it right now if you want to support the channel. Reminder, all the money does not go into my pocket. It goes just back into producing more content, software, lighting, mics, storage costs for podcasts, streaming software, video editing tools, and then also anything that's left over after that, we go into our marketing budget to promote the channel so we can grow and try to hit 25,000 subscribers. We're at 18 now. So anyway, so that's, let's just first thank, I think we do not have an EVP level. We did. Kristen Slevin was an EVP for a full year, and she's still a supporter of the channel, but that EVP level is a pretty big commitment. We did add just recently a SVP level. So if you want to come in for, I think it's like $25 a month, please consider it. And then we have our VPs, Vice Presidents of the Nerds for Humanity. And we're going to sort by total time. VLAM, JM Sap, Fat Lamb, Kristen Slevin, Soldier One, Laura Lane, Patrick Dunn, Bike. Ooh, Bike. You weren't a VP before. You upgraded. Thank you. And Mindful Skeptics, boys. All right. And the next level after that, we have the Hardcore. We've got Mike, Gene, David, Tracy, DK, Venus, Jekalego, Kirsch, Mr. History, Byram, Mona, Susan, Yang, Tony, Robert, Dean, Stat Nerd, Galessa, Jalesa, Jay Perrin, Annalisa, and Jay Bryan. So thank you to all of you for being great supporters at the hardcore level. And then finally, at the verified level, we have Helen, Lisa, Sugar, Albert, Brandon, Yes, Brian, Peter, Arez, Your Mom and Sophia, Jedwiga, Gail, Shake, Mike, Doris, Emerald, Nell, Lori, Ben, Roger, Lisa, Christina, Vaughn, Rastafasta, Richard, Jessica, James, Jalopy, Emma, Spirited, Hui, Stephen, Ira, Shoni, Spy, Philip, Jameson, Doctor, William, Karen, Monica, Ender, Alex, Ardent, Mai, Semery, Brittany, and Clyde. And our newest members overall are Clyde Clark, Brittany Crosby, and Semery Lorenko, 30 days young. So thank you all for supporting this channel. Now, let's move on to some social trends. So we're going to look at Yang versus Adams versus Stringer. And as you can see, in terms of total followers, you have Yang over 2 million, Stringer 13K, Adams 3.8K. As a reminder, Twitter does not decide who becomes mayor, but it is interesting to see the kind of breadth of support that Yang has on Twitter. And if some of you are thinking, well, that's not fair because Yang was running for president, he amassed a lot of people. That's fair. Oh, wait a minute, I got a super chat. Hold on. Let me just give a shout out to Jay saying, Brethren, check out Andrea's YouTube stream Above It All. Andrea is anti-fascist and progressive and a great ally. Well, so check that out when you guys get a chance. All right, so now, oh my goodness, that is a big, we got to be able to see. Hold on. There we go. So daily followers, because you might say like, well, but it's not fair because Yang amassed the 2 million while he was running for president. He's not adding any more people now. But here's the number of people added per day. And as you can see here, if we fast forward to like February 13th, Andrew Yang added 3,000 and Adams added 21 and Stringer added 28. On Feb 14th, Yang added 400, Stringer and Adams added 21 and 22. And then if we go as far to today as possible, Feb 21, Adams added 27, Stringer 27, and Yang added 500. So definitely winning in the Twitter wars. In terms of search activity, like who in New York City, not in New York State, not nationally, are any New Yorkers in the city of New York searching for any of these candidates? And the answer is yes. The answer is they're mostly searching for Yang by a factor of basically 2 to 1. But let's give credit. Maya Wiley has been attracting a lot of, she's this green line here. She's been attracting a lot of New Yorkers searching for her in the last few days. So kudos to Maya Wiley. And then Eric Adams is also like on the radar. Certainly more action for Adams and Wiley than for Stringer, with Yang kind of in the lead. Now, Yang is not like he used to be orders of magnitude over these other candidates. So you look at like mid-Feb. But now we're going to late Feb, and, you know, he's more, but he's not 10 times more than them, right? So something to keep in mind. People are starting to search, they're starting to look around, and starting to consider other candidates. Okay. What are people searching for when they look for Andrew Yang? Related queries. Ron Kim, who I did a long interview with on the Nerds for Humanity channel. Go check it out. Ron and I had a great conversation about Andrew, about Ron's own career. And obviously Ron's now been in the news a lot because of his dispute with Governor Cuomo. People are also searching for Barbara Kavovit and his endorsements, and Fauci and his height. He's pretty tall for an Asian dude, if you ask me. Scott Stringer, they are searching for Elise Buxbaum, Diana Morales, Carlos Menchaca, and Eric Adams and Catherine Garcia. Other candidates, I think those are mostly. Eric Adams, they're searching for George Washington. Interesting. Bill de Blasio, NYPD. Maya Wiley, New York Times, New York Times, New York Magazine. So it sounds like Maya got some coverage. Congrats to the Wiley campaign. And McGuire searching for Adams. And McGuire net worth. All right. So that is, so TLDR on the search front is last, if you look here, let's say last 30 days, you see the blue is the Yang. And the Yang used to be much higher than everybody else, but it's tightening up in terms of search interest with, you gotta hand it to, looks like Adams and Wiley generating some interest. So good for them. All right, now let's look at betting odds. So it appears that Yang is the most favored to win the mayoral race, about 1 in 2 chance. And Adams is next, followed by Stringer and Wiley. I feel like Wiley has moved up. She used to be a bit of a longer shot. So kudos to Maya. And you see, Stringer and Adams used to be kind of pretty close to each other, but it looks like Adams is pulling away. It would be interesting to see if Stringer or Wiley ever decided to drop out and endorsed Adams. That could be problematic. So hopefully they will consider Andrew a friend, and anybody supporting any of these other candidates will at least consider Yang for number 2 in their RCV voting. All right. So that's the betting odds. And let's see. I wanted to do one last thing. Let's take a look at Andrew Yang's Twitter account and see what he's talking about literally up to the minute. But before we do that, I want to give a quick shout out to my nonprofit project Of the People. This is kind of like all volunteer built by myself and 4 or 5 other volunteers. And the idea is like, hey, let's build a Yelp for local candidates. So you can kind of see that we already have some local candidates like Allie and Erica, Eric, Amy, Yenny, Ryan, and Adriana. I'm on here. I'm not running for anything. I'm just mainly testing, but I also volunteer for my county. And then you have this kind of cool tagging capability where you can say, oh, I want to see people who feel strongly about LGBTQ+. And then you can say, well, but also I want to look for people who are supportive of LGBTQ+ and running for city council. You basically double filter, and then you get all the candidates, and then you can click on them. You get a link to their site. You can favorite them and message them if you want, and then you can see more information about them. So check it out, ofthepeople.us. Ofthepeople.us is where to go. And thank you again to all of our supporters on who make Of the People possible. We have a number of financial supporters, including Eric Sanchez, Tohir, Elizabeth, Tony, Sujan, Sugar, Raul, Byram, Aaron, John, Rob, Rockout, Colin, Timothy, Nathan, Trickle Up, Jessica, Patrick, and Brian. And you can check us out and support us on Patreon if you want, and just go to ofthepeople.us, because if you want a better government, you got to start by supporting candidates at the local level, because those are your future congressmen and senators. Okay, now, finally, let's look at what Andrew is saying on Twitter, because I got to get ready to interview Colin Bird, youngest African-American mayor in America, running for Congress to primary Steny Hoyt in Maryland. What is Andrew Yang talking about? Well, let's see. 53 minutes ago, let me refresh this in case he said something else. 53 minutes ago, making New York City more resilient to climate change is literally a matter of life and death. We know another storm and flood will come, and many New Yorkers yet live in vulnerable, unprotected, low-lying areas. This is reminiscent of Yang's presidential debate remark that we need to go for the highlands, because yes, you can slow down carbon production, but you can't reverse it at any time soon. And we kind of basically need to be prepared for more extreme weather. Then he said, 2 hours ago, I was an entrepreneurship mentor for the NBA and met several recently retired players who were transitioning. It's not easy to make that kind of career change. It made me appreciate how everyone is human and struggles with the same things. Let's see. Proud to join my friend Ron Kim, who, again, was on the Nerds channel just last week, so check out the interview, in a town hall on the rising violence against Asians. There is no place for hate in New York City, the most diverse city in the world. Thank you, Ron, for your leadership in standing up for people. So here's, as an Asian American, here's something that I don't think you would see an Adams or a Stringer or a Wiley pushing as hard for obvious reasons. Like, I think Andrew obviously identifies with the challenges that the Asian American community is facing in terms of violence against them. So kudos for finally someone talking about hate crimes against Asians. It is high time that a crime against an elderly Asian American person walking on the street and like people pushing them into the street or punching them in the face, like that should generate the same outrage as someone punching a very old African American lady in the face or a very old Jewish American person in the face. Like, you cannot keep harassing and assaulting Asian Americans and think that, like, oh, well, it's okay, they're just Asian. And so I'm glad that Andrew is kind of calling that BS out. Ooh, electric garbage trucks. I didn't even know they were in New York, but it's Andrew Yang loves them. Who wouldn't? That's so cool. Elon Musk, you would have a very large customer partner if you want to get into electric buses, garbage trucks, and other vehicles that NYC needs. And I could see that happening. Little Yang Musk partnership. All right, so basically talking about New York City Council Speaker Corey Johnson on Yang. I think he's an exciting candidate who's done tremendous amount at the national level. By the way, Matt Skidmore is like the C-SPAN for Yang Gang. So if you don't follow Matt Skidmore on Twitter, you should, because he basically is very quick to find all the latest info and share it out right away. And then he's got, looks like a ASAP, FERG, and Baron Davis grassroots fundraiser. Talking about his kids. Daniel Day Kim. I think he's like some kind of actor. I think he was from Lost. Daniel Wu, not sure. Maybe he's also on something. But I don't watch a lot of TV these days. All right, so that is it. I've got to get ready for my next show. Again, that is with Colin Bird, who is the youngest mayor, and he's running, and he's going to try and primary Steny Hoyer. I was looking at the numbers. Seems like it's going to be a uphill battle because Steny Hoyer is kind of a popular dude, at least based on his re-election numbers. So we will. Oh, Lukey Monster is saying Daniel Day Kim is from a lot of movies, so he's not just from Lost. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Cool. Thank you again to all the people who supported this channel. And for you, if you haven't yet, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share this out on Twitter. This is only being streamed on YouTube, so all of our Twitter homies may not know about this content, but it will now be available on replay. And really appreciate it, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye, nerds. Fade this to black. Let's do it. Oh, shoot. Where the heck? Oh, there it is. There's the button. Oh! Wait a minute. We got a super chat from JL. A super sticker. Let me just. Sheba Dog saying good job while raising his thumb up. Appreciate that. I'm going to give you a bell, JL. Thank you for the super chat. That money goes to promoting the Nerds for Humanity channel. I'm trying to get to 25,000 subs. I'm going to be running another set of ads on the David Pakman show. promoting of the people. But I think he's going to mention Nerds for Humanity as well. So the more audience we can get, my dream would be to get Marianne Williamson, Tulsi Gabbard, Mitt Romney, of course, Andrew Yang back on. Oh, speaking of which, let me tell you guys something. If you want to help get Andrew onto this channel, if you go to tinyurl.com/nerds-nyc, let me just put that more visible because you're not going to remember. Hold on. Overlays. New text overlay. Boom. So go here. Go here. tinyurl.com/nerds-nyc. Where will that take you? You're wondering, like, where's Tom trying to take us? It just takes you to an Act Blue page. And basically, that Act Blue page will allow us, so I'll just go there right now. It'll allow us to get credit for people donating to the Yang campaign. And then if I can raise $15K through any number of these donations, then I can get Andrew back on. And I would, I love having long conversations with this dude. Obviously, we all love talking to him. And whenever he's been on the Yang channel, the Nerds for Yang channel, sorry, Nerds for Humanity channel, I feel like we have a good conversation. If you agree and you want to see him back on and you're planning on donating to Andrew anyway, use my link, tinyurl.com/nerds-nyc. I'll put a link into the description as well. Someone was asking, who's Don? Don is the guy in the campaign, Don's son, who works for the Yang campaign and is coordinating with me on trying to get Yang back on the Nerds channel. So tinyurl.com/nerds-nyc. All right, Jay Perrin says, I love me some Yang. I agree. And when Yang is in the Nerd channel, so the thing I wanted to do, if we can get him onto this channel, is he and I are going to look at maybe 5 charts, okay, data visualization that describe the challenges that New York faces and maybe also the opportunities. So this would be the first data deep dive that we're doing on this channel with Andrew live. So that would be super cool. And it might be the first data deep dive that Andrew has done. Like normally when he gets interviewed, it's a bunch of like, oh, tell me blah, blah, blah. But here we're going to be like, no, let's look at some data together. Let's nerd this out, baby. So donate to Andrew via this link right here. That one. Whoa, it's inverted. That's going to take too long. My brain hurts. And we'll get him on here, man. Nerd out over some data. Who wants to see some charts with Andrew? Some PowerPoint. God darn it. All right. I will see you guys later. I got to get ready for the next show. Bye.